I went back home, deep in contemplation. Still, Himitsu couldn't have just left. Yesterday's conversation didn't feel like a farewell. I had a rough idea of where her grandmother lived, since I had been there a few times when we were little, but did I have the time to deal with that now? No, you don't. You got the ball. Don't forget about the ball, homie. There's the ball, then Arena, Zed Fields, Ellie, yeah! Months or maybe longer, huh? For a second I imagined I'd never see Himitsu again and felt a dull pain in my chest. No, it's fine. Even realizing what I'd done wrong, I didn't know whether I could have acted any differently. In large part, Gome was in prison because of me. If we'd never known each other, things might have gone very differently for her. True. I've seen what the story looks like when you don't really cross her path all that much. It's not too bad. For her, not too bad. She ends up pretty well off. And if I was so worried about not doing enough for her, how would I have handled something happening to Himitsu? No, this is for the better. People like me should suffer. The problem was, by suffering myself, I made people around me suffer too. Yes, clearly I should have returned to my homeland after my parents' death. That is, unless I would have made new friends there and broken their lives too. What the hell is all this? I was sinking ever deeper into the depths of depression. The insidious tuxedo, already starting to gather dust, was still lying on the table. It's all your fault. Don't you fuck up that tuxedo, boy. My arm was mid-swing when it stopped and hung powerlessly in the air. After all, it cost a lot of money. I smiled at the comical side of the situation. We buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people who don't give a damn about us. Maybe I did want to impress Ellie. That'd be much easier to do playing the bass like a virtuoso than putting on that stupid clown suit. Suddenly, somebody rang the doorbell, and whoever it was, I was grateful to the unexpected visitor for distracting me from my self-flagellation. Kyosuke was standing at the doorstep with a sly look on his face. Hi, you got something serious to talk about, or... Although what serious matter could he be here about on a Saturday morning? Or... He squinted even harder, so that his eyes became two narrow slits. I sighed and stepped aside. Well, come in, I guess. Kyosuke walked in the kitchen after me and immediately noticed the tuxedo. So it's true. What? To be honest, I didn't quite believe Mike. I mean, sure, he's not the biggest mouth in the city, but you? Going to a ball? I hadn't asked Michael not to tell anyone. He often took requests for the lack of them, literally. But he could have assumed. Well, imagine that. I sighed, grabbed the tuxedo and froze, not knowing what to do with it. I can't not ask. What'd you have to do to get an invitation to a ball at Kobayashi's estate? Yeah, you really can't. Kyosuke was practically dying of curiosity, and I decided it would be much easier and quicker to confess. Where do I start? It just so happens that I am now the bass player in Ellie's band. I paused waiting for a comment, but he remained silent. So she invited me to the ball. The other guys didn't want to join, but she asked them too. Kyosuke still didn't say a word. Aren't you going to say something? I'm just wondering whether I should punch you in the face for hiding something so important from me, or congratulate you. Or maybe praise you and Michael on the incredible prank. It'd be an expensive prank. I scoffed, shaking my tuxedo. Music is great and all, but what about a more personal relationship? I don't know what you're talking about. I gave the default response, but still felt a pleasant chill run down my spine. Nick, seriously, how long have we known each other? I know you in and out. If you do, why are you asking? Because I need details! He rolled his eyes, jumped to me, grabbed my hands, and shook them back and forth. They sustain me! Oh, Kyosuke. He wheezed in the voice of an anime villain. There aren't any. I tried desperately to push him away, succeeding after some effort. Don't crumple the tuxedo. So some rags are more important than a friend to you. These rags cost 30,000 yen. A compelling argument. He agreed and stepped back. There's nothing to tell you. Seriously, if there was something. I got tired of holding the tuxedo and put on the katatsu. I just don't know what's going to happen next. My life has been changing at the speed of light recently. First Catherine, then Iwamura. Wait, what do you have to do with Iwamura and the murders? He interrupted me immediately like it was an interrogation. I regretted mentioning Kagome at all. You know the joke you never tell people with big mouths? Nick, if you've gotten yourself into something, do you really think I'd... What are you implying, that I killed them all? I pretended to get angry to change the subject. No, of course not. I thought you wanted to ask something about Ellie. I did. He agreed and lowered his head. Go ahead then. With what? With asking about her. Asking what? I don't know. Her cup size. That's what you always want to know, right? Do you know it? He exclaimed. I don't. How would I? But will you tell me when you find out? No, Kyosuke. Even if I do, I won't. Fair enough. He agreed and walked to the fridge. Got anything to eat? He opened it and made a face. I thought Himitsu-chan took care of you. Himitsu... she's busy now. Of course, if she really was going to be gone for as long as her father said, Kyosuke would find out sooner or later. But better later. Nobody cares about you except for me. You want to eat out then? I heard about this new restaurant next to... Not today. I need to prepare for the ball. I see. He drawled. Then I better be the first person you talk to about it. Of course. After Kyosuke left, I took the tuxedo out of the cover and tried it on. It looked better in the store. And then someone rang the doorbell again. Did Kyosuke forget something? But it was someone I absolutely did not expect to see today. Catherine. In the flesh. Yeah, long time no see. We haven't seen her in a hot minute. Why so fancy? She laughed as soon as I opened the door. Your every visit is a celebration. But really though, I'm going somewhere tonight. Looks like you're going to a ball or something. Precisely. Catherine looked surprised at first, then looked downcast. Will you invite me in? Sure. We proceeded to the kitchen. Katya stopped hesitantly, as if she'd forgotten something. To what do I owe the honor? We haven't talked for so long, and it looks like you aren't happy to see me. Yeah, and we hadn't talked for a year and a half before that. As I remember, you weren't so friendly with me when you returned to Japan. True enough. She suddenly agreed, wrapped her arms around herself, and lowered her head. So what's the ball about? It's at Kobayashi Ellie's place. Heard of her? I had no reason to hide anything from Catherine. Moreover, I'd suddenly realized I hadn't even thought of her for a while. I have, but I had no idea you two were so close. I'm playing in the same band as her now. So you've picked up your guitar again. Something like that. I shrugged and poured some water into a glass. For some reason, I was really thirsty. Well, congrats. Thank you. Everything's happened so fast, I still haven't quite figured out what's going on. She's attractive. You're a picky guy, only going for the best. You mean yourself? Modesty adorns a person, but I look good enough without it. Ooh! Go off, queen! But still, it looks like things are going fine for you. Relatively. Such terrible things are happening around you, but you're enjoying life anyway. What terrible things? Those murders? Ah, that. Yeah, that's unpleasant. You never know how your fate will turn out. It's better not to think about that. Although not thinking has always been the most difficult part for me. Better not to think about that. She repeated quietly and looked at me dolefully somehow. So you wouldn't be too upset if I told you I wanted to return to the U.S.? Why would I be? I responded, but inside I felt like somebody had stabbed me right through the heart. I don't know. Why so sudden? I've only been here for a couple of weeks. I shouldn't have come back to Japan. It was a mistake. God. After going down her route, I feel so bad for Catherine. I really do. I've mentioned it before, but she's definitely easily like one of the most misunderstood characters. Especially by me. I misunderstood her from the jump. But goddamn, I feel so bad for her. I didn't know how to respond to that. Katya looked upset, reserved, and grim. As if someone had forced her to come here and say all this. Oh, yeah, probably. Maybe it was her mother again? Did you make that decision yourself? For me and my mom, she has nothing to do with it. For once. Then I really don't get it. You don't get what? She said as a statement more than a question. I braced myself. Not all honesty was good when it came to Catherine. Then why did you come back? I told you already. It's because of my mom's job. So the job doesn't matter anymore. Now, the circumstances have changed. Really? How come? Nick, I'm not asking for a report about, for instance, your relationship with Kobayashi Ellie. She finally raised her head and glared at me. Yes, I don't spend my life jumping between islands and continents. Are you lecturing me? I don't even know. Why'd you come here if you didn't want to tell me anything? Just a few days ago, I probably would have been furious, but I just found Catherine's behavior strange. To say goodbye. Is it that surprising? Oh no, not the tears welling up in her eyes. Oh, Catherine! Sweetheart, no! Man, Catherine deserved better. She suddenly laughed and tears gleamed in her eyes. I don't even know. What reaction did I expect? Should have just written another letter you'd never read anyway. What was so important in that letter? Homie, if you only fucking knew. Felt like I'd done something unforgivable by not reading it. Yeah? Just like when your numbers in the lottery are just one off from winning. You took the letter yourself. I tried to object timidly. After you kept it for how long? A year? It's in the past. What's there to talk about now? Homie, if you only fucking knew. In the past. She flung her eyes up in the air and turned away. Look how quickly everything changes for you. Just a few days ago you were running after me, crying about old times. Now you're putting on that stupid suit thinking you look like a millionaire. I'm not... You know, I really shouldn't have come here. If I just left, you wouldn't have even noticed. Oh, Catherine. No, my girl. Catherine shouted and ran out of the kitchen. I didn't try to stop her. Why would I? What would I say? Do? In her last words, I could hear not just disappointment, but resentment and even regret. Women always enjoy having admirers, even if they don't take them seriously. Was this the same thing? Had my entire relationship with Katya never been anything more? No, it had been. It had been. It clearly meant a lot to her, jackass. But you'll never fucking truly understand that. Jackass. No, I couldn't believe that either. Had Catherine decided to leave, and already standing on the plane ladder, finally realized she was losing something important? Even if that was the case, it was too late. Not only for her, for me too. It seemed that I hadn't even noticed turning this new page in my life. As if I'd gone to bed one person and woken up as someone completely different. I'd spent the remaining hours before the ball languishing around. Katya hadn't chosen the best time for her visit. I took a taxi and got to Kobayashi's estate past sunset. Peering out of the darkness, a long cavalcade of luxurious cars was lined up before the gates. My driver whistled when we came closer and assaulted me with inappropriate questions. Finally I left the car and looked around. On the one hand, it wasn't as scary as I'd imagined, but the obvious otherness of the place was still a bit frightening. The other guests seemed quite comfortable here, greeting each other merrily, laughing, walking up the stairs to the 4-meter-high doors. It took an effort to follow them. Inside the Kobayashi estate was even fancier, like a photo taken at the Louvre. One sec, I'm analyzing these people in the background. You never know when they're going to throw someone in there. And maybe they did and I don't recognize any of them. That's also possible. But I don't. Yeah, I don't know who these people is. If they are anyone at all. Unless. Maybe. I don't think I'm right on that one, but maybe. I found myself in a huge hall already full of men clad in formal suits and women in gorgeous dresses. Nobody was paying attention to me, but I still felt wobbly on my feet. I leaned against one of the columns and shuddered when a waiter addressed me. Would you like some champagne? I automatically grabbed a glass from the tray and looked at the waiter through it. Distorted by the sprinkling liquid, his emotionless face looked like an ugly mask to me. Thank you. I briefly replied and took a sip. I remembered Michael's advice about being careful with alcohol at events like this. Where is that barely perceivable line that separates a drink for courage and 2 bottles down from failed self-control? I decided to think about that later and emptied the glass. Ellie was nowhere to be seen. I could already feel the alcohol going to work. Michael had been right about the champagne. In order to distract myself a bit, I started looking over the crowd. The women were the most visually distinct parts of it, while the men who accompanied them, though differing in height, weight, hair, or lack thereof, more or less blended together into a samey mass of black and white. Hello? Suddenly a strange couple stopped by the column I leaned against. A man of unidentifiable age, wearing inappropriately dark sunglasses, and a woman who looked strangely like Arina. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, that looks... For a while they just stood there paying no attention to me, but then the woman spoke. Spoke Russian. That lady's wearing such a wonderful dress. She made a vague nod somewhere off to the side, but only pointing fingers was bad-mannered. It's just my imagination, or is she together with the gentleman who came in the Rolls Royce? Natasha, dear, nothing gives away that a person belongs to the lower classes more than understanding of expensive clothes and cars. He replied simply, which immediately made me sympathetic. Victor. His companion's exclamation followed. Could it be just a coincidence that out of all the guests, the ones staying next to me turned out to be Russians? Or had I didn't send them to make sure I completed my assignment? No, it would have been easier to give it to someone who wasn't a high school student. But the champagne was working. I heard my own voice before I even finished considering whether I should talk to them. Sorry for eavesdropping, but since we find ourselves in the same company, so to speak. I knew I was spewing nonsense, but couldn't stop. You're from the USSR, right? Oh, yes. How did you know? The woman asked with surprise and gave me a friendly smile. Probably by virtue of having ears. Victor, you're unbearable. By the way, my name is Natalia. Nikolai. I introduced myself and looked at the man. His eyes were hidden behind those dark lenses, making it impossible to guess what he was thinking about. For some reason, it seemed like he was silently chuckling at me. Victor. He reached out with a simple and open gesture. It's not often that you meet someone of your age here, Nikolai. She stopped, then suddenly waved her hands as if realizing she'd said something ridiculous. No, I didn't mean that. It's alright. I was invited by the mistress of the house. Could I even call Ellie that? If Kobayashi Jun had a wife, who would be Ellie's grandmother, then she'd have more right to be called the mistress of the house. So you must be Elizabeth's classmate. Yes, something like that. Little Ellie has grown up so fast, already inviting a suitor to a ball. We aren't. Well, the lad clearly doesn't mind. The man grinned, skillfully snatching a glass of champagne from the tray of a passing waiter. To be honest, I've never been to a ball before. But I have some. Helps with the nerves. He handed me a second glass that seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. Michael's disapproving face appeared before my eyes, but these two had made me so tense I was having a hard time thinking logically. God damn it, Nikolai! You fucking alcoholic dipshit. Oh, we get the option, huh? Oh, we get the option, huh? Son of a bitch. Safe. Save time. It's save time, baby. Save time, baby. God damn it. Cause like I understand it'd be like impolite to be like, oh no, like, oh please keep your drinks to yourself, jackasses. But also like I know Nikolai, alright? He's got one drink in him and already we gotta be like, alright, I gotta cut you off there, partner. Cause the moment it's like if you give a mouse a cookie, he's gonna want a glass of milk. If you give Nikolai a glass of alcohol, he's gonna want another one, and 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 another one. All right, I know how this motherfucker works. We saw what happened with him at the club with Ed. All right, where he just drank. No, we ain't playing that game. We ain't playing that game. I'm a reviews. Maybe it's impolite. But I'd rather not have Ellie show up and he's drunk as shit, or he tries to do his mission and he's drunk as shit, because this motherfucker don't know when to pull back. If this motherfucker had exhibited any form of self-control in the past whatsoever, then maybe, just maybe, I'd say, alright, a second drink, alright. Easy does it, but we'll take it. But no, this motherfucker... I'm already, if I could have refused the first drink, I would have. Because I know how this motherfucker plays. He gets one drop of alcohol in his stomach, all of a sudden he wants 3 bottles in his stomach. So yeah, we're gonna politely refuse. Ah, no thank you. Still against the law here for me to drink. Yeah, and what were you doing just now? Victor asked, disappointment audible in his voice. My cheeks burned red, but I didn't reply. Victor, stop trying to turn the young man to a drunkard. One way or another, since I started the conversation, I had to get to the point. If I may ask. Look at that, you're speaking like a real Japanese already. Victor! I continued in a less confident tone. Do you work at the Soviet embassy? I work in a joint Soviet-Japanese company. I didn't even know if companies like that existed, but was too afraid to reveal my ignorance. And Victor is a famous writer, quite well known in certain small circles. Small enough that the boy wouldn't have heard of me. What do you write about? Life. He replied vaguely, drank his champagne in one go, and looked rapaciously around the ball, searching for a waiter. Sorry, I'm mostly into science fiction. Our life's full of it at every corner. He laughed loudly, but to my surprise, nobody paid any attention to us. By that point, one thing was clear. Victor had nothing to do with the KGB. He was more likely to be someone the KGB would have under surveillance. I couldn't say anything certain about Natalia, though. Elena had pretended to be an airhead at first, too. Yeah, how do you know fucking Mr. Drunk Man's not... Mr. Drunk Man. He's not even drunk. He's had a few drinks, but, like, he's not Nikolai. I know he's not fucking playing an act. Well, it's always nice to meet here. I mean, in Japan in general. Compatriots, so to say. The pleasure is ours, Natalia said, instantly losing all interest in our conversation once she noticed someone in the crowd. Kumiko, so glad to see you. She immediately ran away, leaving me alone with the strange writer. Don't be so tense. I'm not. This company was becoming more and more uncomfortable. You'll find your girlfriend. And indeed, I finally saw Ellie. She was coming down the stairs from the first floor. Excuse me, I said, and quickly maneuvering between the guests, made my way to Ellie. I was starting to think you'd abandon me here. Nak, hi. It looked like my presence was a surprise to her. You look good. She was wearing a long snow white dress and really did look stunning. I mean, great. It's a very beautiful dress. You're very beautiful. Thank you. She grew embarrassed. Was this really the first time she'd heard a compliment like that? Sorry, I'm a bit... couldn't quite control my tongue, and it felt like the entire Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra was playing in my head, while I'd been asked to transcribe the timpani part of it in my notebook. Don't worry, I understand. I smiled, and all the tension disappeared at once. She understood. Let's dance? I don't know how. Don't worry, just follow my lead, and everything will be alright. If you say so. Had I been sober, I would have never agreed to this. Ah, hell yeah. We walked to the middle of the room. Ellie carefully half-embraced me, taking my right hand with her left. Just like this. 1, 2, 3. No harder than keeping rhythm on a guitar. Well, it depends on the person. She'd clearly gone on easy... Extra words? She'd clearly gone easy on me with the pace. Some of the couples around us were spinning like the cabins of a Ferris wheel. I carefully repeated her every move, mostly managing to keep up. But soon the silence became completely unbearable, both in and of itself and due to what I'd drunk. You look taller with heels. You know, I don't think I'll ever really get used to them. Sure, I have to wear a dress show sometimes. Can't be helped. It's cool in a way. You weren't wasting time without me either. We made small talk with someone I saw from upstairs. Ah, those. I lost the rhythm a bit, but Ellie slowed down to compensate and carefully showed me the right movements again. I just heard them speak Russian. So you found some of your countrymen. Great. Yeah, I guess. Well, I was almost sure about Victor. I still couldn't make up my mind about Natalia. On the other hand, was it that important? After all, there were only two possible outcomes for Irina. I would either bring the photos or not. I immediately felt the unpleasant weight of the camera in my inner pocket. Good thing they weren't searching guests at the entrance. What are you thinking about? It's like you're somewhere else. Yeah? Sorry, I'm just a little anxious, you know. Never been to a ball before. I've been getting dragged to all kinds of places since I was little. I say they're all unbearably boring. But she was behaving much more reserved than usual, I guess. That's hard to imagine. How about you imagine bringing our equipment and instruments here and performing in front of all those dead-inside geriatrics? That's even harder. The alcohol was starting to slowly lose its grip. Champagne goes to the head quickly, but doesn't linger long. I caught myself staring greedily at the shining silver trays filled with tall glasses of alluring bubbly. But I'm so glad you're here. That's because I'm keeping you from getting bored. No. She gave a short reply, kept silent for a while, and added in a quieter tone. Not just that. Why does anyone else from the band come? They don't like events like this. I see. I wondered if I would have found myself at the Kobayashi Estate under different circumstances. It's great that Zed feels now as two socialites to keep each other company. Ellie smiled with the corners of her mouth only, very politely and adult-like. When the situation called for it, she could act like a real lady. The dance was coming to its end. Mimicking the other men around me, I bowed to Ellie, and she responded with a light curtsy.